Welcome back everyone. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to transform your table saw into a box making machine. I'm going to make a sliding jig for the table saw fence that will allow me to make quick and easy miter edge joints. A while ago, I made a video on how to make a jig that will produce mitered edge joints. That particular jig ran on the miter track in my old table saw. So that was pretty much a fixed position jig, and everything had to be set up exactly the same every single time. This time around, the jig is going to fit on top of the table saw fence, and it's going to slide along that. That will allow me to use the table saw fence to make micro adjustments depending on how I want to set up my box. So the object here is to make it so that it will produce boxes very quickly. Much more so than if I was using, say, a box joint jig or a dovetail jig. And with that, let's get to it. I'm going to go over how to set up and calibrate this jig. First step is to place it on your fence. And you're going to position it. The advantage of having it on the fence is that I can move it sideways as far as I need to, depending on what I'm working with, which I couldn't do with my previous version of this jig, which was on the miter track. I also cut a bevel at the bottom here. You don't really need to do that, but I did it to get that corner of the board out of the way. And so what happens is the board for this jig will just rest flat on the deck, and it's easier to see it with that bevel. And that is how the jig will slide and operate. The other thing you want to do is make sure that this is actually 45 degrees to the tabletop. So how do we do that? Get yourself 2 speed squares about the same size. It doesn't have to be the same size, they can actually be different sizes, but I've got 2 as it happens that are around the same size. I'm going to place one flat on the deck, one on top of the board here, and I'm going to put them back to back. Now you can see a gap at the top here. So they meet up and then it tapers out and we've got a gap at the top. That means we are not at 45 degrees. All right, so now what do I do with this? Do I throw out the whole thing and start again? Do I fiddle with it, try and take it apart? No, I can't do that because I've glued pretty much everything together. But there's a really simple solution to this, and that is to lift it up. So if you look at how my fence is designed, it's got this bar here and it's got this lower bar on the other side. And the reason why that bar is there is because it is meant as a catch guide for the other side of the fence. And when it's not in use, it gets stored in this position. This bar is not actually technically part of the fence, basically just supports the other end of the board. So I need to now, because of the angle, raise it up. The easiest way to do that without having to build a whole new jig is to throw a little block in here. So I've got a little block that's going to go under the support, and I've got a shim which should be thin enough to offset the discrepancy in the angle, and then I'll throw a clamp on it for safety. And then we'll check the angle again. And now we have a perfect 45 degrees. So that's a really easy way to fix any discrepancies. Reference off the tabletop and make sure that you've got your 45 degrees right, and you'll be good to go. Some armchair woodworker out there will give me the same comment, of course, as I got last time, which is,
well, why don't you just set the bevel on your table saw blade to 45 degrees and just cut all your boxes that way? It seems like a waste of time to make a jig just to do the same thing.
when you bevel your blade to 45 degrees on your table saw, you inevitably have to bring it back to 90 degrees when you're done. Even though the dial on your table saw says 90 degrees, that blade is not at 90 degrees. You have to check it again, and you have to make sure that it's sitting at 90 degrees, and that takes a few more minutes. Sometimes it takes a few tries to get it set up right again. It would be a pain to have to switch back and forth. With the jig I'm doing today, you don't have to switch back and forth. You can just keep it at 90 degrees and go on with your work, take the jig off, do something else, come back, you can make more boxes if you want to, and it just makes life a whole lot easier. If you'd like to help me continue to make and edit these videos, head on over to my donation page right over here. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. There are a couple more videos on this side you can watch. Until next time, thanks for watching and have a great day.